What I'm looking for in a bank is one that's looking out for me, like NBT. I want a relationship and a team that supports me in my dreams. And when life gets challenging, I need a bank that's focused on what matters. Not to mention one that's been top rated by Forbes in trust, customer service, financial advice, and more. That's why when it comes to meeting my banking needs, it's always NBT. Learn more at nbtbank.com. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome and thanks for tuning in. This is Tom Hickey from 2020 Media, and you are listening to NBT Bank's On the Scene podcast, reaching over 250,000, that's 250,000 readers of the Jewish Ledger, West Hartford Magazine, and weha.com. 24/7, 365, we are live. Today we are joined by Matt, which we'll introduce in a few minutes. But first I'd like to say hello and welcome. And this is recording just after Thanksgiving, so none of us can move. So it's a good thing this is a podcast. We're not having to show any clothing or anything else. But I want to introduce my co-host, Bob Carr. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Tom. Tom Hickey, along with myself, Kosher McConaughey, Ryan Newton is a founder and the partner in weha.com. Tom brings to West Hartford the Connecticut Jewish Ledger, West Hartford Magazine, which is West Hartford's original lifestyle magazine. The various tastes of West Hartford, the best of West Hartford. We just had our 10th anniversary about a month or so ago. And our podcast is assembled and posted by the Modern Observer Group of Middletown, Connecticut. And today, our guest is Matt Banaver of Bards Clothing with an S. Oh, man. Oh, Matt.
No, since I'm the one that said that, because I said Bard singular, so why don't we just jump right in that? So, so there's an S, and everyone makes that mistake, or am I the only person that makes that mistake?
No, majority of people make that mistake.
Okay.
And I feel like one day I'll be able to say that I'm like Snickers. You know, it has an S at the end, and you just gotta remember it. So thank you very much for having me, Tom, Bob. This is awesome. So yeah, my name is Matt Banaver, owner of Bards Clothing. So real quick history, bards back in medieval times were storytellers, and they would actually travel throughout medieval Europe, and it was almost like what we call Americana folklore. Like they would uphold the culture. They would tell stories. They would sing songs about nobility. It was because of these people, these bards, that we have stories of like that still are around today, like King Arthur and all this. These are stories that people just told and told again. And when I was thinking about this company and how to frame it, I think that what you wear tells a story about who you are. And what I want to do is I want to tell your story. And when we start working together, you'll unlock a little bit more about how to tell your own story. And throughout your life, you'll become a storyteller also. So it's plural bards.
I love that. That's great. And you know what, Matt? As soon as you started telling that story, and this is a shout out to, or congratulations, I guess, to you or whoever helped you do it. But your newsletter is awesome, and I do believe you told that story in one of your newsletters in the very beginning. Because once you started saying, it's like, oh, I do remember this. That's right. So that's great. So we will not forget the bards plural. There we go. That's great. And for anyone tuning in and listening, if you have not subscribed to Matt's Bards plural clothing newsletter, it really is awesome. It's a quick read. And I should. Are you still doing it, Matt? I hope.
I am. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Yeah. So
weekly.
Weekly. All right. There we go. so
Thank
yeah,
you.
Definitely do that. So very
informational. Website, we find a way to sign up on your website. Is that how you sign up for the newsletter?
Yep. If you go to bardsclothing.com, it's one of those automatic pop-ups. You just sign up. I send them out once a week on Tuesday mornings. Yeah, I try to keep it quick. I always, Tom, you've been a great reader, usually responding to them and saying like, oh, it's really interesting. But honestly, like it's that kind of stuff. Like when I was having 4 or 5 subscribers, you would respond to one and I'd be like, oh, well, I should keep going. And here I am, with a couple hundred now. And it's really only because of those comments that you made that I was like, all right, yeah, like keep it going. It doesn't matter how small the audience is,
Yeah,
just keep writing to the
absolutely.
audience.
Absolutely. Great point.
That was so. To have not gotten your newsletter, I'll have to go on and make sure I sign up.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I've retired. Tom will remember me. Remember this. I was always dressed for success. Let's put it that way. I read actually that book decades ago, and I never didn't wear a suit and a tie. And then when things got a little more casual, I never went without a sports jacket and a tie. So that was my dress down day. My dress down was a sports jacket from wearing a suit all the time. So speak to that a little bit. Can you speak to the changes in clothing, changes in dress that you've seen as you've done this?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's very interesting that I'm taking somewhat of a antiquated business like custom clothing and yet finding a lot of success in today's world. When people think of custom clothing, they think of old white guys in mahogany offices and pinstripe suits and French cuff, shirts.
Oh,
But what I try to tell people is custom clothing, it's just clothing made for you. So whatever you want it to be, it can be that. And to that end, I speak to the fact that the average person is in a suit maybe a couple times a year. So, yeah, I would love to make that for you. But more importantly, what are you wearing every day? Is it your flannels? Is it maybe casual shirts? Just because the world is a bit more casual doesn't mean you still don't have to make a good impression. Nobody's going to look at you and be like, oh, well, it's dress casual. So I shouldn't judge too hard that you have, ketchup on your shirt or something, or your pants are 3 sizes too big. It's dress casual. Like, oh, I'll give you a pass. That's not how the world works. Even if you're dressed casual, if you walk in and your pants are 5 sizes too long and, you've got holes in them, people are still going to make an assessment of you. Like that, plain and simple. You
yeah,
can
yeah.
you can make more of an impression wearing khakis and a shirt that you're untucked. If that fits right, that'll make a stronger impression than somebody who's like dressed in a suit.
Mhm,
Knowing how to dress yourself casually and knowing how to dress for your day, it's actually given people more of an opportunity to make an impression. Because to be honest, dressing in a suit is easy. The pants and the jacket match. It's not that hard to pull off a good suit. It's like paint by numbers. It's not
yeah,
that difficult to look good in a suit.
mm,
But this whole dress casual, dress for your day, that's when people are saying, "Oh wait, it's actually a little bit more difficult. What do I wear every day?
mm,
How do
mm,
I make this work?" Because unfortunately, a lot of people saw dress for your day and dress casual as a green light to a race to the bottom. What is the bare minimum that I can just get away with? And all right, fine. After a couple generations, like, cool. The pendulum can swing that way. But I think the pendulum has swung back where people have said, oh, I actually do want to look nice. I don't need to look suit and tie nice,
mm,
but I
mhm,
do still want to look nice. And I do
mm,
still want to take care of myself and present myself in a way that represents me.
mm,
So, for instance, like this shirt that I'm wearing right now, it's one of mine. It's a denim shirt. It's got snap button fronts. It's short enough where I don't have to tuck it in.
mm,
I mean, you could wear this to your loft to go paint something, or you could wear it out to dinner. It
mm,
fits me. It looks nice. It's easy.
mm,
I'm happy that it's made in New Jersey. It tells a story of American heritage and craftsmanship. It's
mm,
more of like a worker type of shirt, so I get to add that layer onto the whole American craftsmanship. That aspect. It doesn't just have to be, oh, it's fancy and expensive. It
mm,
can be very much about who made it.
mm,
And I think that the internet has really created a divide between us and the people who make our stuff. And what I really want to do is reconnect that. So I don't want to just tell your story as the person who's buying it, but I want to tell the story of the people who are making it. All the people who
mm,
make my clothing are in America. Every factory I use, I have three in New York and one in New Jersey. And so, and I can speak to all of them. I go to all of them a couple times a year. I meet with the tailors, I meet with the pattern makers. I think it's very important to really reconnect to these people that are sitting down, spending time making the clothing that you're going to wear, that you're going to represent yourself, that, that's how you go out and make your livelihood and pay for your kids' college and put food on your table, is because you're able to make a good impression with this clothing people made.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to connect that whole story front to back.
So what does someone do, Matt, if they're listening and they really have, I mean, I don't want to say that, they're like you said at the very, very bottom where they're in sweatpants and I call them pajama pants, the things that people, run out to the store in. But so how do they start? Do they just call you? Do you go to their home or their office, or they go to you? How does it work?
Yeah. So I do wardrobe consultations. Like maybe somebody's not ready for a custom suit of my caliber, because also I'm a want, not a need. If you need pants for work, I'm probably not your guy. I'm a totally different experience. Like you don't need, just because you're hungry doesn't mean you're going to eat at Fleming Steakhouse every single night. It's a want, not a need.
Yeah,
That's where
yeah.
I fall in. And
Okay.
I try to tell people there's a difference. If you have something special occasion, we'll start there. But I do offer wardrobe consultations where I'll go to your home, we'll break it all down, really look at things. So many people have stuff in their wardrobe that has almost become like a callous buildup. You leave one job, you carry all that clothing over. You leave one weight spectrum, you carry all that clothing over. There's probably clothing that you barely fit into 20 years ago that's still in your wardrobe. A leather coat that you bought that you thought it was cool, but you can't get rid of because it's a leather coat and it was expensive. I go in there and I'm the band-aid. Let's just rip it off. I'll get rid of it. But then I also talk to people about, well, what is the impression you want to make? What's the impression you want to make when you walk into a room? What do you want people to feel like when you walk into a room? And then they show me their wardrobe and I'm like, none of this says that. So I try to hold people accountable, and then I tell them, and then after a wardrobe consultation, I'll usually leave them with, all right, here are the items that you should get. So like a plan of attack. Here's a couple stores that I recommend. Here's a couple people that I recommend. All of them shop local. I'm definitely all for thrifting. I got a really nice winter coat the other day from a nice thrift store, because I don't need a big winter parka. I'm not in it that often. So I went and I just got one that was like $50 from a thrift store in Glastonbury or something like that. So there's ways you can kind of manipulate and fix your wardrobe. I do believe that we have been spoiled by places like Amazon and Walmart, where it's one click buy. I get it. I don't care. Whatever. I don't have to think about it. And then what we have is a pile of crap in our closet that we have because we didn't think about it. So I do think that with
Yeah,
how we
no.
dress, we do have to get back to a place where we slow it down and think about it. What am I putting on my body? The same way, we used to put purple ketchup and, drink 7 Up all day and, eat processed microwave foods, like, a meal that you could have in front of the TV. That used to be all the rage. And then we started to think about, what am I actually putting in my body? And this whole rise of farm to table meals and open style restaurants came about. That needs to happen in our wardrobes also. Let's start thinking about, what are we actually putting on our body? Where does it come from? Who made it? What am I trying to say to the world? What do I want people to know about me? Do I want them to know that, what can I get away with? Do I want them to know that I'm lazy and cut corners? Like, is that the impression? Because if you're invited to a black tie optional wedding or a black tie wedding and you're thinking, can I get away with this suit that has a moth hole? That's the impression people are going to take away from you. that you're somebody who wants to just get away from it. And
Mm,
chances are, if you're going to a black tie event, there are people there you want to impress. There are
mhm,
people there
mhm,
you want to shake the hands of and get
mhm,
to know.
mhm,
Why are we constantly going to the bottom? Like,
mhm,
let's kind of rise above. It's just a simple kind of mentality shift, I think.
mhm, mhm,
So when people talk to me, I try to give them this little jolt to their system of just here, wake up, like pull you out of the matrix. Like
mhm.
this is the real world. People
Yeah.
make assumptions of you. It's not a negative. It's how it is.
Mhm,
We are human beings. We have, dopamine and endorphin releases when we see something pleasing. It's
mhm,
biological. It's not
mhm.
spiritual. It's very much I know you're going to make an assessment of me. So if I know that, why not use that to my advantage?
Wondering what's happening in West Hartford? Visit weha.com. Weha.com is the most comprehensive calendar in West Hartford. Subscribing to weha.com, West Hartford's best news source, is always free. Visit we-ha.com. We have it all in West Hartford.
Why don't you give us your, I mean, so we're here, your phone number and and your email and your website. Anyway, because I have couple of questions, but I want to make sure we get those in. So let's
Yeah,
get.
so you can definitely go on my website, www.bardsclothing.com. You can find me on Instagram at Bards Clothing. My email is matthew@bardsclothing.com, and my phone number 860-978-6234. You can call, text me any time of day.
So I have one question about the, yeah, you're passionate about clothing. How did you get passionate about, how did you get this passionate about clothing?
I was I was never a fashionable person. Nobody in my family is very fashionable. Um, it really, but that's what I love about what I do is because I don't feel like I sell clothing. What I do is I sell you back to you. I am very aware of the story that presentation can tell. So I was very much into movies and still am. I'm a huge movie buff. I mean, I feel like Tom, you know that just from social media.
Yeah.
You know when Darth Vader walks on screen, he's a bad guy. You know when Tony Soprano puts on a suit, it's time for business. You know when Walter White puts on that hat, he's no longer just an old guy. There's so much in our culture about presentation. If I asked you to tell me what Coco Chanel looked like or Balenciaga, what they looked like, you probably couldn't do it, even though they're fashion designers that we all know their name. But if I said describe Steve Jobs to me, black turtleneck,
Mhm.
like there's so many instances of fashion being just completely synonymous with how we accept cultural phenomenons, and we really, and style is one of the only linchpins that keep us connected as a society. I can show you a picture of any time in history and no context, no words, no nothing, just looking at their clothing, you could tell me probably when in history this came from. So again, it's always been present. And what I'm trying to do is just to make it a more personal level of you can have that same effect as Caesar in his toga. As iconic as that, um, you can use that to your advantage, that storytelling, that personal storytelling with your clothing.
Matt, what do you say to the people who are listening who say, "Oh, I'd love to have Matt come do a consultation, a wardrobe consultation with me or whatever. I'd love to have him come to my home, or my office, but boy, cha-ching, that sounds expensive." So
Yeah.
how do you, how do you combat that? I mean, you have to hear it.
Oh, absolutely. I think when people are not when people are not ready to buy maybe like a suit for me or a sport coat for me, I totally get it. I am completely in the luxury realm of making clothing. But when it comes to maybe a wardrobe consultation, I don't see it any different than hiring a financial advisor, going on a diet, going to the gym. It's an investment in yourself. You're not, I'm not going to tell you to add anything into your wardrobe or remove, like, I'm just telling you what to do with what you already own.
Mm,
I'm not going to say, well, you should go and I have all this fancy fabrics that I'm going to sell you. If you tell me that you don't need a white shirt, and yet I go into your wardrobe, you have 5 white shirts, 3 of which don't fit, 2 of which have stains on them, 1 of which you can't button the neck. I'm gonna tell you, you have no white shirts. You should go get a white shirt. It's holding you accountable. So it's an
mm,
investment of yourself. And I charge by the hour. My prices are on the website, so it's not like at the end I'm going to give you this massive receipt. You know going in what this is, but
yeah,
I'm really trying to just make the best assessment with what you already own. So it's an
mm.
investment in yourself.
Yeah. And I'll share this story because you know it, Matt, because you took a lot of the clothes. But my wife and I downsized, so we got rid of a lot of our, clothing. And really, I think I'm married to a fashionable person, so she tells me what,
He
just
definitely
like for
is.
animals. Yeah, she tells me what to wear, and and I put it on. But when she went, I'll never forget it. All those things that you just said. When she went through my wardrobe, she went through my old tux that Tom James, company did my tux. I loved it. She's like, yeah, it's 25 years old and you were 40 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
It's just like, so yeah, you try to suck yourself into that, but it's not going to fit,
Yeah.
So I hear you, so I hope that people who are listening, think of that maybe because it's just, towards the end of the year, they're thinking about the new year, New Year's resolutions or whatever, but weed through it feels good. I mean, my closet size is a fraction, of what it was because I
Yeah.
wasn't wearing any of it.
Yeah.
It was old, and I actually ended up, I don't know if you're still doing it, but I ended up giving a lot of that clothing, to you, and you used it for a nonprofit, which was great,
Yep.
so you're sort of giving back in that way too. Thank you for tuning in. Again, this was Tom Hickey, along with Bob Carr from On the Scene, NBT Bank's podcast. And we were joined today by Matt Banaver from Bards Clothing.
Thank you very
and uh,
much.
and we hope that everyone has a great holiday season and takes the word of wisdom that Matt gave us today and get ready for the new year and new wardrobes and have a consultation and get yourself ready for 2025. I can't believe
Thank
we say that. Sounds crazy, doesn't
It does.
it?
Thank you so much, Tom
All
and
right,
Bob.
take care, you guys. We'll see you.
Bye. Bye.
What I'm looking for in a bank is one that's looking out for me, like NBT. I want a relationship and a team that supports me in my dreams. And when life gets challenging, I need a bank that's focused on what matters. Not to mention one that's been top rated by Forbes in trust, customer service, financial advice, and more. That's why when it comes to meeting my banking needs, it's always NBT. Learn more at nbtbank.com. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.